Hey girl, hey, what's up?
Hey boy, hey.
Another session of coffee with whiskey.
We got coffee with whiskey. Listen, except it's the
Cheers. Gotta
afternoon,
cheers.
and I drank a lot of coffee this morning already, so there's water in my cup, but we still have our respective cups
Cheers.
going on.
I didn't want
Yes.
to tell anyone, but I'm drinking tea, not coffee, because I already had my coffee.
Well, is tea available at Third Space Lounge?
Tea is available and amazing
So
coffee.
there's your commercial. You can still, if you're not a coffee drinker, you can still enjoy some tea,
Some good
sip
old
some
tea,
tea,
some
spill some
diesel
tea,
tea, the good stuff.
and hang out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I am. I just wanted to put the rep my crew.
I love it.
Well,
I just have anonymous background where it looks like I was kidnapped by by the sexy Taliban or something.
okay,
Um,
well, I was gonna say that too. Taliban body.
After dark, prisoner of war and sensuality.
In that sexy outfit, like
Wait, listen, I have to dress for the filter because the filter like zhuzhes me up like way more than I actually look because I'm literally in my pajamas. I just slapped a gold belt around it. But these are all
that is amazing that you can do that. It looks really good, by the
the
way.
tips and tricks
Talking
of
with
this virtual
Christy,
life.
Christy, real talk, right?
Listen, you can't let anything be a distraction
Well, can I
from how
just
you show up.
really quick and plug the book that we have in the third space of yours?
Oh yeah, so in the third space lounge is Mercury in retrograde, but the rent is still due. And I love that title because it's just kind of a cheeky homage to the fact of we care about all this stuff in astrology and we're always looking at charts trying to figure out the future, but in the present, the rent is still due. So it's just like the balance of figuring out what life is for you in the present. And there's a lot of like micro poems in there, and then it's separated by ratchet poems and righteous poems. So I wrote that book in 2017. I still love it so much, and I didn't have anything new to say. I had not healed to the point to be coming up with new shit until now. So I
Hey,
do have a new book, and I will be bringing some copies to Third Space Lounge.
all right.
So you can have those to sell as well. But this is Sovereign, and this is the new book, and it's about coming to a higher level of consciousness, how to deal with your present and the future without freaking out about it, and come to a level of mastering your own mind and taking care of your own mental health. So, yes, instead of just leading people into depression in a funny way and staying there, which is what Mercury in retrograde was, this is like the next book where it's like what is the next level to healing and
Okay.
how do you maintain that. So I think that's a good segue into the topic because I think when it comes to healing journeys, we like to focus on like the process in and of itself, but we don't think about the ways we have to maintain like our milestones. Like
Yeah.
once you renew into a certain mindset, you have to stay there and make sure you're always elevating up. And one thing we have talked about this before, so I thought this would be really cool to cover, is distractions. There are so many distractions to the healing journey there, and I don't care what you believe in. There's if you exist in this world, you understand the difference between good and evil, and
Yeah.
when you start to do your healing work and try to become a better person, that's the energy that you're putting out into the world. And next thing you know, when you're trying to do the work to be good, there are hella distractions that come to thwart you from that work because the world wants you to be an asshole. And it's so funny. There's so many opinions about what happened with Will Smith and the slap heard around the world, but the conversation that I really enjoyed surrounding it is kind of what Denzel Washington said and kind of what what he said in his acceptance speech is that when you start to level up, when you start to do the work, things are going to come your way to test you. And you're not always going to handle it perfectly. And all of the aftermath of that can be a distraction because he sure enough slapped somebody on the stage, you know, which is like everyone has their perceptions of who he is because of that. And I sure enough, I keep guilting myself about it. I yelled at the pizza man the other day as as zen as I think I am, as healed as I think that I am. The opportunity arose. I was in my feelings. Anxiety was through the roof, and I ended up yelling at the pizza man, which is like a big no-no when it comes to treating other people well. So,
Well, it happens. Like you said, you get distracted, get pulled out of your character sometimes.
yeah, what is I want to talk about what do distractions look like for you because I think the key to it is recognizing what distractions are, what they look like, and then you kind of get on top of the work to not be distracted. So, are you aware of the kind of things that distract you whenever you feel like you're on target?
Words to my therapist. I'm still working on it. Oh my gosh. So real life distractions. So we just got some people in the shop. 2 seconds. What's up? You want those?
While he's talking, I can keep it going because we are recording. And I'll just say that when it comes to the work of figuring out distractions, for me and my healing work being tied to the spiritual so much, I look at it as spiritual warfare. And I know that when I'm walking in my purpose and doing something good and putting good into the world, that here comes something to thwart me from doing that work. And one of the major distractions for me is social media. I am a working spoken word artist. I am building a brand. I'm trying to win and crush stuff and spread a message of healing and awakening to the masses. And one of the bigger things that is always a distraction is the comparison of social media. And I think that's hard because once you start getting public about your healing journey, and I really resonate with the Will Smith thing. People kind of start to see you as like, oh, they're saying they're nice, they would never. And it's like, no, I wake up and choose violence every day, and then I have to put it down and choose kindness. And that's a process. It does not come easily, and it's not natural. And I think the more that I have elevated in my brand and in my talents, it's been more difficult to communicate that to people because the kind of perception is once you reach a certain point, you're just a good person. It's like, no. And I, as a plus size woman, as a woman who's on stage performing, trying to get women to awaken and heal out of thinking they always have to be beaten down by patriarchal society and in relationships to determine their worth, I still struggle with loneliness and I still struggle with comparing myself to other women. And admitting that to myself is difficult. Sitting in those emotions is difficult, that feeling of not being good enough. But then expressing it to people and having them understand that this is a part of the maintenance you are going to have to maintain, and that is a distraction, in your psyche and your consciousness that I'm that bitch. I am winning. I'm exactly the way I was made to be. I'm killing it. All of these great confident things, but every day there are going to be things that are going to distract me from those thoughts about myself. And my major thing is social media. Social media is set up for consumerism. It's set up for us to compare ourselves to others, to be unhappy, and to chase after frivolous pleasures. So, and I'm still susceptible, and I hate it so much.
We're still human, and I think going back a little bit, again, word to my therapist, that's some kind of things where you're like comparing yourself to others. It comes with our like perfectionist, like our need for perfectionism. And the worst part about it is being a creative. And like you said, I had an ROTC instructor that would say like this on stage, off stage thing. And when you're always on stage, it's really difficult to actually express yourself as fully, as fully as you want to, because people expect you to have that like on stage face all the time. But in reality, it's like, this is who I am. And when you show up as you when you show up as who you are, like, what you're really going through, like no one really wants to accept that and appreciate that, or
Yeah.
even know how to, like work with that or accept that, because like my own like truth, like when I'm in mania or when I'm in like depression, like no one really wants to like experience that. No one,
No one wants to deal with that, right?
especially like when I'm in depression, like no one knows how to like deal with that, or especially when I'm used to showing up as Shaymar, like of the space, like people, it throws them off. Or when I'm like manic, there's like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. Like, no, I'm manic.
I know, like this is a problem. That is so hilarious.
but for
I
the,
mean, it's
but I was
true.
gonna,
I think that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for my own like growth and understanding and acceptance, like showing up as I am, or like showing up for whatever like mode or mood that I'm in, it's like it's much more healing and fulfilling for me to like be completely who I am and completely what's going on, instead of like putting a mask on myself, because at the end it's extremely painful. And it, for my own self, I'm sure like others can attest to it, like it just puts you in even more of a funk and even more of a like depressive kind of state, because again, you're not showing up for who you are. uh, yeah, again, word to my therapist.
Oh, exactly. That's beautiful. I actually wrote that down. That's a great journaling prompt because in any situation where all these things are coming at you, the big question is, am I showing up authentic? And sometimes that's very uncomfortable because showing up authentic means people ain't gonna like how you show up, and that's okay. I think a lot of the healing work is being okay with what your authenticity looks like and
Mhm.
knowing that it's not going to look like other people's, and then understanding that, especially with how social media and technology has taken over the world, it has encouraged us to present one-dimensional versions of ourselves, and collectively we are less able to hold space for the depth and dimensions of people, and it's something that I struggle with because once you get into the gaze, like being on stage, being an artist, and it feels good to have that validation, but the first thing you realize is that that validation is very conditional.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
conditional.
First step,
So,
I deleted Facebook off my phone almost about 3 years ago now. Yeah.
wow.
Nope. It's
Yeah. I
toxic.
haven't had personal Facebook for maybe 6 years.
Huh.
5 or 6 years. I switched over to a business page, and that way I can just post into the void, and I don't have to worry about how people are reacting
You
and
can do that. You can get rid of your
engaging.
personal and just have a professional.
Yeah, so what you do is it has to be tied to a personal account, right? So I made a dummy account that nobody knows. And then I just follow all these magazines and stuff that I would repost onto my business account. And then
Okay.
I connected it onto my business account, and I only post from my business account.
Then, all right.
So yeah,
That's
it's
wise. Look at you.
yeah, because
Artist.
it's like it's so I started to feel like Facebook was. I felt I was telling my best friend the other day. I feel like the Great Gatsby sometimes. Like, I have this very cool party that everyone's coming to, but and then they turn to me and they're like, "Who threw this party?" And I'm like, "Me."
I like that. Like pop, like entertainment is not my. I have mixed. That's Sadabu. I don't know any of those references, but I like that a lot. Um, yeah, that
Yeah, I feel
happens
like
here.
it that's a tough thing too. The distraction of wanting to be noticed and seen and validated by other people who are likely not capable and not looking to do that. There are people, especially when it comes to social media, they're looking more to consume and
Yeah.
to receive hits of pleasure, but or Schadenfreude, a lot of the times, like they want to see you a little down. And that's the thing with healing work too, is that you attract those people who are like, oh, okay, not doing so well today. So there are a lot of things, but that is my Achilles heel when it comes to distraction from my work, because that will send me into a depression like really easily, and I have to stay on top of it. It's like, why is your self-esteem low today? Why is your confidence low today? Why don't you feel like you can spread the message that you're here to spread the love that you're in? Most of the time it's because I'm comparing myself to others or not receiving validation. And you know, when you do community work and love work, it cannot be about validation. Period.
Nope, because you would be disappointed completely.
You you gonna get your feelings hurt every damn day.
They're like me.
That is so true. That's very true. And that's interesting when it comes to the distraction of the needs of the people. I think walking in your purpose, there is the realization that your purpose is for you.
Yeah.
It's for you as well as other people. And sometimes other people can be a distraction because they're worried about them and what they can get from you. And a lot of times you feel siphoned. And it's like one of the things of rooting down into your purpose is realizing, oh, this is for me as well.
Yeah.
This is something to fulfill me. This is something that connects me to my higher power, makes me feel like I have purpose here on this earth.
Exactly it.
And for a lot of us keeps us going. This is what keeps me from blowing my brains out. So let me make sure, right? Because without it, it's just like, why am I here? This sucks. It is so important to align and figure out what your purpose is, and it doesn't have to be like a big, like, I have to be on stages and speak to millions of people. It could just be like, I'm here to be a really good friend.
Yeah.
I'm here to be a really good mom. I'm here to, whatever aligns with what's going on in your soul. And I just think that there's so many distractions from that, and when it comes to helping people, you can't even be distracted by the people you are helping.
Yeah. True story. Again, like writing these grants. I come in the third space and close the door. Because like that's a very like simple distraction, but yeah, like when you're on a purpose, when you're trying to get things done, it's so easy for your own self to get distracted or find your own distractions to make yourself feel better for the moment. And
Oh,
I,
just for the moment.
yeah, like so all
And
the
then it
things,
turns into many distractions, and yeah, it blows up.
all the things we do for like to self-soothe, which is another like type of distraction that just legit keeps us away from our own purpose, or keeps us away from the things that we need to do. I don't want to say should, as that's a curse word, but
Oh yeah, because you ain't got to do anything but stay black and die.
and pay your taxes in the process, okay? Oh.
You don't like that one as much. Yeah, I like that. I wrote that down too. How am I self soothing, and how is that a distraction, right? Because
Yep.
sometimes when I think of distractions, I think of the external world coming in and like interrupting flow. But sometimes we interrupt our own flow, and I feel this big time. I think one of my self-soothing things that I do is like eating and not moving my body, and I'm always like, I feel terrible. I'm just gonna lay down and eat some more cookies. It's just like, this is counterproductive. And then it's like, I still feel terrible. I'm gonna lay down some more and eat some more cookies. And I lose productivity, and then I feel I start to feel it on my body, and it's just like it derails me even more, and I'm just like looking in the mirror like, that was me. I can't.
Legit, that's been me in the middle of the night. Like either I'm working on this paperwork stuff, and then I'll just like find something to eat just because I'm just like, I don't want to work anymore. The next thing you know, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still like either eating or like doing paperwork. So yeah, like it's a horrible like self distraction that
Yeah.
it's soothing in the process because you're trying to like, I don't know, like I guess one of those like dopamine dumps or dopamine like
Yeah.
rises that you're doing in the middle of your like self-loathing because you're doing something, you know, like, or you're not accepting what's really going on. Actually, now that I think about it, you're not in acceptance of what's going on.
Oh yeah, and looking for a distraction from the work. And that's interesting because as I was thinking, I was like, the reason we like these journaling workshops is because once you get into the habit of journaling about these things and being aware of when you get into these thought processes, how you start to use coping mechanisms, unhealthy coping mechanisms to get by, you are able to stay more on top of it. I think that with journaling and just like really connecting to my emotions, I
Mhm.
am able to pick up on it. The difficult part, the maintenance part, is in the implementation
Yeah,
and the willpower,
yeah.
because you can pick up on it all you want, but if you don't have the willpower, you're still going to be eating cookies. And that's been my thing, is that like before it would be an absent-minded thing, like okay, I'm just plowing through, but now it's like I'm very aware and I don't want to be
You start
doing.
feeling guilty about it, so you're just go back into that circle of just like defeating yourself and soothing yourself in the same time, you know.
Oh my
um,
gosh. Yeah. So the willpower, um I'll put that down. How am I exercising my willpower or asserting my willpower or improving?
Asserting and improving your willpower, because as you said, like you can be as self-aware as you want to be, but if you're not putting that as an exercise in your everyday life, like what's the point?
That's so true. And I think that what comes with asserting the willpower, and I was thinking about this earlier, is that especially when you're in a grind season, in a work mode, and you feel like you're on your purpose, so you're working toward that purpose, there's also sitting in the fruits of your labor. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like when you exercise the willpower to renew your mind and to change your habits, and how do you reward yourself in that process? What are healthy ways you reward yourself? And also notice the difference. Like, what is the difference of when I'm not laying in bed eating cookies? Is that my body feels better and
Yeah.
I'm not gaining extra weight and being like, what? How did this happen? Who did this?
And COVID is not an excuse, okay?
That's the tough part. You know what? In I think excuses are a distraction, and this is actually really tough. I'll share last night. I was listening to like some sermon or something, and he was talking about like one of the things I struggle with is like being untidy. I'm just really messy. Like outside of this, if I turn my camera around, you'd be like, like, and it's just like a residual thing of being in a bad mental place, and I'm like trying to slowly show myself grace and be like, you can't tackle everything at once, but you do have to like get into better habits, and one of those is like being more tidy and clean. And when he started going in on not being tidy and being messy and stuff, and I was crying, and I was like, I guess I'll never be a good person because I'm just messy and I can't. And then I had like a really bad breakdown about it last night, and I woke up this morning, I was like, you know what, the kids left for spring break and I have extra time, I can clean the house, I
Yeah.
can. It's just that thinking about it, it's a residual of like a mental thing, and I'm holding on to the fact that this is a lot. Were
You
I
don't have
to
to do it
clean
all
my
at one time.
right, exactly. But I prefer to think of it that way
Yeah.
because my mind wants to victimize because that feels more productive than actually doing it.
Yeah. And
Shamar.
or to my therapist again, like literally like making it into little chunks. And again, like maybe just cleaning off the sofa and like, like being excited about that. Like, like literally sitting on your sofa and be like, this thing is clean now. And
Yeah.
try to pull yourself to do the next thing, like clean off the floor, like, and then I don't want to say reward yourself, but acknowledge and sit in that, like in that joy that you're going to have for that moment,
Yeah.
and like really give yourself credit for that, because as we again, it's like perfectionism thing. We want to like do everything at one time. We want it to be perfect all at one time. And if we can't do that, we just continue to beat ourselves up. But if you like sit in the fact that like, again, like for I've been beating myself up. Like I have 4 grants done. I still have like 11 more to do, but like
But you did 4.
acknowledging the fact that I did four.
Yeah.
Like, and even when I did one, like there's one that's done, and just really like sitting with the fact that you've accomplished something. What I used to do, like, real life housing situations changed. What I used to do is put post-it notes on the wall of like the things that I accomplished, so that I can always like
Yeah.
look at that, and like as time goes on, like, oh crap, this week I knocked out like 15 things. And going back to this perfectionism thing, like typically we do more things in a day than the average person does in like a week. And that's something else I really had to acknowledge and accept, that like, Shamar, you've knocked out all of these things. You're not even giving yourself credit for it. You're not even
Yeah.
acknowledging that you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's why the post-it notes was such a huge like reward, and even like putting quotes up that that really like touched. So yeah, just like finding ways to like represent that. If it's that you keep a book or keep a like checklist, or just even write down on a sheet of paper the things that you've done over the past couple of days, just again acknowledge that. Otherwise, you're going to continue to beat yourself up. I continue to beat myself up about like not completing the entire grocery list at one time, but like instead of just like going down each aisle to get the things that's needed in that aisle.
You know what? I love that. I'm sitting here taking notes from me. No, because I didn't think we were going to talk about the perfectionist thing. And that is like, that's a huge distraction for me. And that's a huge thing. And I will make the disclaimer that we are people of color and we feel it even more because we are under, like, I love the conversation that came out of the slap where it was like the white gaze, being under the white gaze, and what that means for how we show up, and what that means for being in a society that brought you here under the guise of not being good enough, how that sits in our bones, and how we have to overcome that every day essentially. And I was thinking, like, that is therapy work, that is the work of showing up for yourself, of being disappointed, especially if you've dealt with childhood emotional neglect, of feeling like people haven't shown up for you. So it is a way of showing up for yourself and trusting yourself. And it's so funny. I was saying affirmations like right before this about like, you know what? You can't let other people put you in a position of feeling not good enough. What
Yeah.
does it look like to be good enough for yourself? And you hit the nail on the head where it's like, tracking your progress instead of being like, I haven't done enough. Examine what you have done. Would you talk to a friend that way? Like, yeah, you could probably do more. 4 grants, do better. That's a lot. We just gotta clap it up. 4 grants. One is enough. One is a lot.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
What up, homie? Again, real life distractions.
I know. I feel like you are the king of having a handle on that because every time I come to see Shamar at the space, there are people who always want his attention. There's always like a million programs going on, and I just really admire how you keep your calm in that because I would just be like, I yelled at the pizza man. I would be yelling at patrons, and people would be like, you know what? It's a free space for all, but it's not a friendly space for all. So you have the patience of Job.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite book.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, that is my favorite book.
Really?
Yeah.
That is so funny. Why?
Because I feel that way sometimes. Like even here, like I like one of the community moms mentioned, she was like, Shamar, you're like a martyr, like a martyr. You've given up so much of yourself over this last almost 4 years. And like literally giving up everything, like I've
Yeah.
been volunteering since the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, like kind of like stripping everything from the life, and then just like maintaining that faith, like even when it's at its worst time, maintaining that faith. So like at the end, writing these 4 grants, looking forward to what's happening on the other side of that. So yeah, man, it's
I that's so interesting because I think one of the larger lessons out of that book is that we have to be real about the fullness of our feelings. And Job was kind of in this state where he was like, everything's fine. No, it's cool. But it wasn't until he was like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm uncomfortable. And he took a second to ask for what he needed where everything was returned back to stasis. It's
Yeah.
just like the power of staying in your reality and admitting the hard parts
Yeah.
and being able to work through them, and that's where you have the relief. So like asking for what you need. So I like that too for the conversation because it is a distraction to gaslight yourself, and that's one of the things that I do sometimes. Just everything's fine. This is fine. It's like no. That's why we encourage the journaling. It's like staying close to all of the emotions, to the full story of what's happening to you, so that you can see the problem areas. You can see the parts where you're uncomfortable. You can see the parts that kind of take away from the joyful experience of being in your purpose, and you can figure out solutions. You can ask for what you need, or at least know that you need to release that, because it's not going to be all fun and games. This idea that walking in your purpose is just going to be like, great, I'm doing what I'm called to do, everything's lollipops. No, your life is going to fall apart before it comes together as soon as you decide to align with what you're here to do. So I
Yeah.
love that that's your favorite book.
Yeah. In real life, I've had some of those experiences in the last like 3 months that I've been around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, especially again, like showing up on stage all the time. And as you said, like being pulled in all of these directions, like on the daily. Um, yeah, like truthfully, I had to take a couple of days to just really reset.
Yeah.
Because the cup was dry.
Yeah.
The
When
cup
it should be overflowing, it's like
yeah, like right now, like I want to like reach for some more tea, but it's all gone.
No, and I think that people need to see that, because going back to just like how we like to interact and pretend in this world, like the whole like the pandemic's over, everybody go back to the way life was, and it's like no, there are ramifications. People are not okay. We need to figure out what those problems are and to fix them. So we kind of have this external world where we are encouraged to pretend everything is okay, but that's not where the healing occurs, and that's not what keeps you going. Like, it's very funny to have the dog meme with the fire in the background, like this is fine,
I was gonna
but
use
it's
that
not.
for a second. I have that on my as my one of my
You
background.
have to listen. That's like my life. Every time I see it, I'm just like, I feel seen.
I think it's let's see if it's in this account.
That used to be
Here we
my
go.
way of. No, I have to take a picture. No, I have to do video. I just have to do. Wait, hold on. I have to do a
I'll
quick video
smile.
of this. We are talking about distractions, and one of the distractions we realize is gaslighting yourself. So, the very popular meme where this is fine and you're sitting in your own chaos is not the way anymore. We're not doing that anymore in 2022. May we not gaslight ourselves. You seen what you seen, and you felt what you felt. So, in this season, we are going to stay in our own realities.
Everything's
I
fine.
just love it. So, more tip hits coming out of Coffee with Whiskey at Third Space Lounge, and we're sitting having a great conversation with Shamar. You can check out the full conversation on their website. Peace. I love that you have that.
I'm keeping this for the rest of the talk.
You really do. You really do have to. This is so hilarious. I love that this is a thing. You have to send this to me, because this is like, I want to do like one of my Patreon videos.
We're doing Coffee with Whiskey.
Oh.
Oh my
And
God.
this is a whole
No,
vibe.
that have description.
Yeah,
Background.
that was just conversation, and I was like, "Oh, let me show you. I have this on the computer."
No, I love it. It's a whole mood. I thought you were just gonna do a screen share and pull it up, but you have the whole.
Come here.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask you.
Listen, I love it. When your life is a dumpster fire, you really have to just do the assessment and figure out what's going on and make the attempts to put out the fire, right? So I love that conversation when it comes to distractions because that's one of my main things is gaslighting myself.
Yeah, and I think the perfectionism also goes like back to our culture and like how we're raised to like no like I was watching this show the other day and the guy was like the kids were playing at the freaking beach and he was like, "Yeah, better not get messy." I'm like, "You better not get
It's
messy."
the beach.
What do you mean you better not get messy? They're supposed to be playing in the sand, but yet they only can like kick their toes in it and that's it. Like
Yeah.
not allowing to fully be in the full self, you know, and then we
Yeah.
have to like decondition ourselves to like to be authentic again and what that looks like and even
Yeah.
what we look like and what we are like Jesus.
And the maintenance of that is not getting distracted by other people's thoughts and feelings about it because the moment you start to do the work of showing up as your true self, you're going to receive the pushback from other people. For many, for some, it will be an enlightening thing. Well, it will awaken them up into wanting to be their true selves.
Yeah.
But for more people than those people, it will make them uncomfortable, and the immediate reaction is to push back on it and try to fit you back into that box of no, we're sheep and we do this.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I didn't realize that it's something that I still struggle with is that your freedom comes at a price. It comes at the price of people just kind of like weighing down on you with their opinions and stuff, and it feels oppressive, but it's so worth it to not be distracted by that.
Black sheep thing is real, you know, like
Oh yeah.
once you decide for yourself that you're not gonna like follow along the flock, it's very isolating. um
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's a little poem that I put together, but I'll share it at some point about
Oh,
my
why can't you share it
black
now?
sheep unicorn because I can't
This is
read.
coffee with whiskey, and you know it's my thing to encourage people to do their poetry, and I love this because I'm used to you in the visual art, so the fact that you have some poetry for us is like a huge treat. Yeah, Shaymar can't just do a poem; he had to frame it and make it. It's a poem.
Well, I have like sheep that go along with it too. Hold on, I can grab that for you. Let me.
Let's see the full visuals. Yeah, I love it.
Um. Oh, never mind. I have. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right. So this is the sheep, the black sheep unicorn.
Wow.
I have shirts.
Oh,
with
I love that you made it a unicorn.
Yep.
Your art just speaks to me.
um,
I'm sorry. I mean, this in the butterfly one that we talked about, I just love. It's just so on point. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
Sticker packs are available. This is like my manic version of the black sheep unicorn. But
I want one. I want one next time I come by. Yeah.
I got you. And the crap, as I stop like breaking things, these are actually pins.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You know, I want one. I want to wear it to every performance because that's how I feel when I walk in a room.
I got you. I got you.
How beautiful.
So the poem goes, once upon a time, there was a sheep. Not just any ordinary sheep. This one was a rare black sheep. But because he was different, no one really understood what he was saying, and no one cared to listen. So he always felt so alone. And so one day he learned to sing with the birds. So every day after doing all of his things, he would go to the community tree to sing with his newfound bird family. Collectively, they sang happily ever after. The end.
I love that. He found his tribe.
He found his people, and it wasn't like
Yeah.
they weren't a unicorn. I mean, they weren't a sheep. They were, totally different.
I
And
really love that for the subject as far as like when you're in your purpose, it's a distracting thing to feel like you're going to find people who look like you or are exactly like you in order to walk into that purpose. Once you start aligning with what you're supposed to do, it's going to be a hodgepodge of who the fuck are these people?
yeah, it's a whole new tribe. It's a whole new
Yeah.
tribe. And like I wrote this at like a low point, really. When I was the beginning of the pandemic, trying to figure out things. Like the sheep has been my guy for like, I don't know, lots of years at this point. But then I
Yeah.
was really like just sitting with it. And that's what I came up with, because I even feel like that as far as the people that come to the space, like a lot of them, they don't feel like part of a community.
Yeah.
So and so yeah, when we know that we're not part of something, we try to like look for those things, or like we just live in our truth and stumble upon those things eventually. And I really, like I said, I just feel like that's what a lot of the people experience, and just in conversation with those that come to the shop, like they just finally found the birds that they can sing with.
Yeah. I love that. I feel so connected to you because I feel similar. It's like the larger work of just being a safe space and being a loving person. And then you realize that you attract other people who are on that same journey.
Yeah.
And really, you start to belong to yourself. And that's what the inner work is. And then you start to gravitate to other people who belong to themselves. And
Yep.
that's the new tribe. So
Yep.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, because what we do is very different, but there's so many ways that we align and fit together because the larger purpose is, yeah.
Since the
The black
beginning,
sheep
girl.
unicorn.
Since the
I gotta
fridge
get one.
days.
You said what?
Since the fridge days. Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
listen. You were just in your full dandy. I loved it. You had the look. Oh.
Oh yeah. I
I
remember.
was, I'm such, I try not to tell people because it's not a shallow thing. It's just like, I love an aesthetic. I love art. And there you were. I was like, he's just, I love it.
Good days. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. Like the space and opportunity to be like the full self in every
Yeah.
sense of the word. And
Yeah.
and as a testament of like the work that I do here, is that you don't, just because you're not where you want to be, does not mean that that's not where you're heading toward.
Yeah.
And that's in
And
just because it's not perfect, it may be like where you're supposed to be at this moment, to learn a few lessons or two, or just to continue to learn yourself. Um,
listen, the wilderness is a thing. And
mm,
even in that work where it feels chaotic, that's where you learn to not be distracted. I mean, you wander in the wilderness, there are snake bites. There's a lot that could happen wandering around in the forest, and that's where you really do the part of it, the ugly parts where you learn to stay focused on the promised land. So
I
yeah,
re-
it's not always going to look how we want it to look, but the overall work, I keep saying I'm in a space of just diligently working no matter what it is. No matter if I hop on social media and I start to feel inferior or not good enough, it's like, but what were you going to post today? What
yeah,
were you going to do today? How did you plan to show up? And what does it take to still get there and not be distracted by what other people are
I'm
doing?
doing. Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
think that is a good place to wrap up because I do have a gig tonight and have to get in the zone for that. But this was a really robust edition, I guess, of Coffee with
It
Whiskey.
is. I'm happy about, like, yeah, I'm really excited about like how things are going to be moving forward. Like I really love the Zoom thing.
Yeah.
And if I can leave on a note, I like how you said the wilderness, because my two words, the jungle is all the like craziness, and the swamp is like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the swamp. And they
Yeah, the
both
swamp is like slow moving, your sludge, gross, just.
and you can't
And
be
then the
distracted
jungle
by
is
the
like external.
Yeah, and you can't be distracted in either one, because in the swamp you're gonna like get stuck. Literally, you're gonna get stuck or fall in. And then as you said, in the wilderness or in the jungle, like there's so many other things that's going on around you that again you have to stay focused. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always in such like Amazing alignment. I love it so much.
Beginning.
No, this feels so good. This is like what I needed before my gig tonight. This puts me in such a good mood. So I really appreciate this.
Anytime, girl. Anytime.
This is Calling with Shamar, y'all. Like, give us the gem.
I'm back.
Spreading
love you,
love,
Whiskey.
being love. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Love you, hon. Thanks
Love
for another
you.
successful week. And yeah, we can share this with the people, and this is exciting.
Yeah, send me the link. I would love to send this to my folks. I think this is like really beneficial conversation. Yeah. And if you want me to send the prompts that I wrote down, I can do that.
Yeah, I'll add it to the description.
Okay, cool.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
hon. And remember, this is fine.
This is fine. Don't gaslight yourself. It's not fine.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.